I'm just at a loss for words. It's January
4th,
2016.
Yes.
And welcome to Progressive Soup. And we're doing a look back show about all the people that we had on last year. And somehow or other, I've forgotten all of them. But thankfully, Emily Volpintesta is here, and she can probably tick them all off, and then I'll see what I can do to tick them all off. But
yeah, let's see.
who do we have on over the course of the last 12 months?
We had a lot of people, those two men talking about Bernie Sanders.
We had a lot of shows about Bernie Sanders. We had Joe Neola. We had some other Henry Pietros came on and talked about Bernie Sanders.
And there was another one who said his name meant like goose something.
Oh yeah, Roberto. Who was the other guy that came on with
Goose something in German that meant goose. I don't know, I forget. But
so yeah, we're like the least prepared.
Okay, so you talked a lot about Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, we did talk a lot about Bernie Sanders.
And the new election coming up in 2016.
Yep. And we didn't have Lara on. That's right.
No.
Did we just jump a couple inches or something? I think we just it looked like we just.
But I was just saying how we've been asking her to be on our show for about 5 years.
Lara's going to be on the show. We know she is. We know for a fact that she will come and join us on the show and talk about cooking and talking about all kinds of metaphysical kinds of things that she's in tune with, and she and Majdi have quite a bit to talk about. But if we could get Lara on, I'd be happy. Majdi, that'd be great. Majdi, you come on with her.
Yeah.
Come along, bring her along with you.
But
just tell her that you're going over to the studio to tape a show. Until you actually get here.
But then I was telling David, I was telling you that, But the 4 agreements, there are these 4 that I learned about in massage school.
The 4 agreements.
And I was going to look them up. One of them is don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Right? Be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
Okay, continue. I'm going to look them up right now. Yeah. But, yeah, so don't take it personally if someone doesn't want to come on our show.
Okay. But she will. She'll be on our show.
But don't you think someone, we want people to be here that want to be here.
Yeah. Now, who else do we have on over the course of the year, other than all the Bernie Sanders compadres?
Michael Zakea.
Michael Zakea was on a few times, talking about Michael Zakea, who's a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, retired, who's come on and talk about quite a few things that are involved with the Veterans Affairs and getting the veterans their due, and that segues in with our Bernie Sanders discussions, because Bernie Sanders has done a lot. He and John McCain got a very important veterans bill passed in a very contentious and cantankerous United States Senate. Deborah Cohen was on also talking about Bernie Sanders. Deborah Cohen's involved on a state level. It was her first time involved in politics other than voting. And
Nick Smith.
Oh, Nick Smith was on too. Yeah, thank you. Nick Smith was on talking about. So what are the other you got? We did the two with two.
Paul Kaczewski.
Thanks, Roberto.
Thank you. Paul Kaczewski, who came on, talked about veterans. He represents veterans in their entanglement in trying to get what's due them, and he's helped quite a few veterans out from a legal standpoint.
What else? Phil Sharlock.
Phil Sharlock was on talking about veterans also.
Yeah.
He that was last year. That was in 2014. That he ran for the state senate, and he visited us and talked about that. We've had our good friend Dan Carter on a couple of times.
Right. And Frascone, Rich Frascone.
Rich Frascone, my good friend who has a great show. Shout out to Who's Telling the Truth?
Marty Heiser.
Marty Heiser was on.
We had Ayn Rand versus Jesus Christ having a discussion.
Well, yeah, Ayn Rand and Jesus Christ had a couple of very interesting discussions. In one of the two shows, Marty was Ayn Rand, and the other, and I was Jesus Christ, and the other show he was Jesus Christ, and I was Ayn Rand, and so we had a couple of interesting discussions about Christianity and religion and the world in general.
Do you want to hear about the 4 agreements?
Yeah, the 4 agreements.
A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom, book by Don Miguel Ruiz. Okay, here are the 4 agreements.
Okay.
All right. I'm trying to think. Are they going to say what they are? It's annoying because they go on and on. It's just about selling it on Amazon. Okay. Never mind. Okay, go on. While I look for the actual 4 agreements.
So we had...
we have Marty Heiser, Phil Charlock,
Yep.
Michael Zakaya.
Yep.
Oh, and then Al Robinson, the journalist.
Al Robinson, Hat City Blog, which I think is down, but he's got My Left Nutmeg back up on the internet pretty soon, and he does a lot of local politics, but on My Left Nutmeg, of course, the Nutmeg State, he does more statewide political issues. And by the way, nutmeg. This is the Nutmeg State. Right. Yes. Nutmegs don't grow in Connecticut. Huh. Because they can't. Because apparently the nutmeg, the tree that has the nutmegs, they can't survive at under 40 degrees.
So why would they call Connecticut the Nutmeg State?
There's something else that we do grow here, which has been confused with the nutmeg, and I don't know. But the Nutmeg State is apparently not the Nutmeg State. Left, right, or otherwise.
Do you want to hear what the 4 agreements are?
The 4 agreements. Okay.
All right. A, I learned about this in massage school. Right?
Okay.
Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word and the direction of truth and love. 2, don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. 3, don't make assumptions.
Okay.
Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this 1 agreement, you can completely transform your life. Yep. And last but not least, always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret.
Okay.
So.
And those are the 4 what?
Agreements.
The 4 agreements.
By Don
it's the
Miguel
agreements that you're making
Ruiz.
with yourself about your own personal, how you conduct yourself in your day-to-day life. Okay.
Exactly.
Terrific.
So, don't take anything personally. If we ask someone to be on the show and they don't show up, don't take it personally.
You hear that, Lara?
Yeah. See?
Do we have Donald Trump on the show this year?
No.
I thought we did. Maybe it was the empty chair Donald Trump we did, where we had him on, and for some reason, we heard the screaming outside the studio door, and I guess he barged off in a huff or something and didn't show up, so we had to chat about him without him here. Right. That was Joe Lieberman we did that with years ago, back in the day. We did the empty chair Joe Lieberman.
We had the doctor running for president.
Oh, the car.
Oh yeah.
We did the brain surgery.
Ben Carson.
Carson.
That's right. Ben Carson had me on the table. He was doing
on the phone.
Brain Surgery 101. He was plugging his new book.
Stavros.
We had Stavros on talking
Master
about
Dentist,
health.
That's right.
And he gave us some great insight in maintaining a healthy weight. Right. Some things that I hadn't thought about, but I know it's been beneficial to me just to think about it once in a while. Right. I know you've done well too with your with your taking care of yourself. But
I've lost about 60 pounds.
Only eat when you're hungry. Don't eat because it's time to eat.
Right.
Eat because you're extremely hungry. It's really a necessity for you to eat.
Stop when you're full.
Stop when you're full. Eat slowly
and mindfully.
Eat mindfully. Yep. Eat slowly and put your fork down or spoon down in between bites, so you take your time to fully chew your food, because apparently your stomach is full about 20 minutes before your mind recognizes that it's full.
Right, exactly.
So you really can't count on your internal clock to tell you to stop. So you've got to give it a little opportunity to figure that out.
And when you do eat less, I find when I do eat, I enjoy it so much more.
Yeah.
Which goes to the fourth one: make junk food a special occasion. Because if it's not like I'm saying don't eat devil dogs or cookies. Just that if you wait until the weekend, Yeah,
or have one once in a great while and think about it in advance, so that it's not just part of your normal everyday routine.
Right. And then, like on weekends, usually like after 5 p.m. on Friday through the weekend.
And maybe you should sing the song that goes along with the accompanying thing, like everybody ought to have a funny bone, that kind of thing. So you're getting multiple enjoyment out of one instance by playing it through before you actually
do it.
Before you actually enjoy the Drake's cake or the funny bone or the ring ding or the devil dog or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Because you should always be enjoying life, no matter what. I'm just really excited about this year. 2016 is going to be really great. I just feel great.
It should be. It should be a good year.
No, and but by following Stavros' program, it's really made a big difference in my life.
And let's give out Stavros' name and
right, Stavros Masterjonis. He runs Live Your Way Thin on Mill Plain Road.
Yep.
Formerly Olympus Personal Training, and he has the Stavros method and
very common sense kind of things that
sustainable weight loss.
Yes, that actually sustainable, maintaining, finding a healthy weight and very easily maintaining that weight.
Right.
Now you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to lose a lot of weight fast. You lose it in very gradual steps. Right. Find what's a reasonable weight for you and a healthy diet and exercise plan, and just enjoy it. Let it be part of you.
And what we're finding, is that beliefs have a lot to do with it, which I've been reading this book, which I think helped while I was going through his program. I worked a lot on my personal beliefs.
Yeah. Well, let's hear about that.
Well,
because I know you read it.
Is this program called the One Command, which is another process. Stavros is his process, but I had a process too because I think it's important in order to have lasting change in your life. You have to believe it's possible. Because like they say with, if you say you want to do something, but deep down you don't believe it's true, then it's not going to happen. Have you seen the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? Anyway, it came out about...
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, it was just how we're all energy and vibration, and how, when you get down to it, we're all energy. And anyway, so...
That makes sense.
Right, so we're all... they were interviewing this theologian, and he's saying, if Jesus believed he could walk on water, but if he really didn't believe that he could, then he wouldn't have been able to. But if you really believe that something can happen, I think that's what happened a lot with my weight loss, is I had lost weight in the past, so I knew it was possible, and that kind of sustains you. Anyway, so I'm reading this book by Bruce Lipton, and he works a lot. It's called The Biology of Belief. It's the 10th anniversary edition, and he's working on something called epigenetics. It's this new science. And
epigenetics?
Epigenetics, and I think it means controlling of the cell. And his thing, this new... before science and Darwinism, it was all about, our genes control our lives. Like, you're born with genes, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you have the gene for cancer or Alzheimer's or diabetes, it's like this death sentence. And he's saying that the control of the cell is really not your chromosomes and DNA. It's not inside the cell. It's the environment of the cell is outside, and how like the cell membrane is really like the brain of the cell, and how
The cover.
here's the cover. I don't know if anyway. So it's the 10th anniversary edition. I'd read it before, but what he's saying is that, which I believe in this process that I did while losing the weight with Stavros, called the One Command, and is that you can actually, he's saying you can actually change your DNA. You can.
You can change your DNA.
Yeah, you can change by your thoughts.
Well, we know for a fact that DNA can be changed because we know that there are outside influences of radiation and whatnot.
Right, exactly.
They have an external effect on you. So why not internal? Why not change? Why not recreate yourself a little bit from the inside out?
Yeah, and I think, so much like you said. And then he's saying that that's what the scary thing about GMOs and genetically modified foods is that scientists are changing, tomatoes and like all these vegetables, not thinking of the effects. If you can change the DNA of a tomato, like what effect is that going to have on our DNA?
Is that a tomato flying across?
I'm just saying that
or is
scientists
that somebody in the audience
are doing
throwing
these
a tomato
crazy
across?
things.
Okay.
And if you could change DNA in the food we eat, how is that change going to affect our DNA? And that, it's kind of frightening to think that scientists are doing these crazy things and not thinking about the effects.
And what's the long term? What's the long term effect of these things? We should know more. Perhaps know more about through scientific studies, know more about how those things are going to affect us.
And even with like antibiotics, because like we have bacteria in our gut that's vital for digestion, and like when you take antibiotics, like it kills off all bacteria, good or bad, and there's bacteria that's actually vital for digestion, and it's vital for digestion, and by just kind of killing off all this bacteria. It's important, taking probiotics, but the point is that we should be doing things to improve our immune systems as opposed to killing off all the bacteria, and we don't know the effects of, what all that stuff is having on us either. Anyway, so he's saying that we can change our DNA by our thoughts and our beliefs, and there's processes that you can do to to change your DNA and make lasting change in your life based on your beliefs. And, so that's why because sometimes I'm at the gym, I listen to Pandora, and I actually heard an advertisement for a company saying...
What's Pandora?
Pandora, should I not say that on? But it's a...
You said it, so you might as well expound on it a little...
It's an app where you can listen to music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so on your phone you have an app and you can actually listen to music.
Right.
Can you?
So there was an ad. Yeah. There was a company scaring people, saying, "Oh, well, we could take your DNA and see what diseases that you're going to get and help But then these people don't understand, just because you have the gene for something or does not mean you're going to get it.
A predisposition for something does not mean an absolute. I'm sure it's on gradients from 0 to 10, if you will.
Right.
And you might have more of a predisposition toward a certain medical condition than other people. But that doesn't, like you say, it's not a death sentence. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it. And there are other things to be weighed in, outside influences by things around you that affect the likelihood also.
Right, because he says only 2% of diseases come from a genetic mutation, like cystic fibrosis, and
that's like hardly any of them. That's like nothing. That's 2%. That's
right. Exactly, and a lot of it is controlled by. Even he talks about our lifestyles. And that people automatically think as you age that your health has to decline, and that's not true.
That's true.
He's saying that that there are these things on the end of our DNA and chromosomes called and the word telomeres, right? And that through aging and the cell reproduction and these enzymes, that eventually the cell reproduction, the telomeres get frayed, and then when you have frayed telomeres, the cells that we produce aren't as optimal, aren't as, and that's what causes aging. And he's saying that if we lower our stress in our lives and eat a healthy diet, then the body releases produces this enzyme called telomerase.
Yeah.
And that enzyme actually prevents the fraying of the telomeres, and then our cells can keep reproducing, at a...
So it extends the quality as well as
cells.
quantity of life.
Right.
And both are important, quality and quantity, probably quality more, but certainly,
That's right. And I think, too, and then that leads to happiness, and what is happiness? So, and then I'm reading another book on being happy. This is an author I saw speaking on Stephen Colbert, and he teaches at Harvard, and a psychology professor, and he's saying that, so what is it that makes people happy? I mean, can we just be happy in the present moment? And so we go to psychics, and so much money is spent on financial planning and psychics, and people were worried about the future, when maybe if we just were happy in the moment instead of worrying about the future and planning for the future and sacrificing for the future, and we're putting off our happiness now.
So we take life in small
future.
bites rather than and looking to the short-term future, rather than being so concerned with
right.
the long haul, the long distance down the road. Makes sense.
And what do you think? What makes you happy?
I think, well, I made it to 62, and I'm still fairly healthy. I think that's a good start. Okay, here's what makes me happy. Okay. If I were to drop dead tomorrow, I think I've accomplished everything I wanted to do. There's nothing, I don't think I'm going to have left anything unsaid or undone.
That's great.
I'll feel pretty comfortable with what's gone on in my life so far.
No, and that's one of the things he writes about in this book. He says, if you knew you were going to die tomorrow, would you do anything different right now? Would you be doing anything different right now than if you knew you were going to die tomorrow?
The bucket list.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
I think I've pretty much too done everything I've wanted. I lived in Italy. And I really feel that I feel so blessed because I do stuff I love, and I think that's part of just being happy, is just doing what gives you joy, and it can be little things, being with friends and family, and and because so often I have friends like in Italy, and I had this one friend, and he was instant messaging me on Facebook, and he said, I can't sleep, and I think it's stress from work. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you do for fun? What brings you joy? And he said, I don't know what gives me joy or what makes me fun. And I think it's important that we connect with that inner child, because when you're young, we don't really think about what makes us happy. We're just in the moment, and we don't worry about anything really,
I think that's true. I think in the sense that a lot of young people have a complaint about parents planning things out for them, having them,
Right.
They're 10 years old, and the parents are talking about where they're going to go to college.
Yes, I know.
What are you studying? What's your profession going to be? And all that stuff is it's stuff to be. It's the journey there that needs to be enjoyed rather than the end result. I mean, who wants to know?
Exactly.
Although a lot of people apparently do want to know what's down the road for them, so they consult astrologers.
Right, exactly. That's what this guy talks about in this book.
Yeah.
Stumbling Upon Happiness. He says we spend so much money going to psychics and astrologers and financial planners. And then another thing he says too is that adults we say we sacrifice so much for our kids, And in the end, they're
Yeah.
like, your kids are going to be not like you when they blame you anyway for messing up their lives. You're like, so let them,
Yeah.
why do we say sacrifice all this stuff when in the end, the kids probably aren't going to appreciate all you do for them anyway. I don't have kids, so I don't know, but,
Along those same lines, I just read something a couple hours ago by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's an astrophysicist. He's the
he does Nova. He has the show, right? Nova?
He's been on Nova.
Right. He's a host now, I think, or some show he's hosted.
He did a remake of the Carl Sagan's science shows.
Right.
But he's. Well, first of all, one of the things in the article was that he got a lot of flack because he last December 25th,
right,
he sent out a happy birthday to Galileo Galilei, the famous scientist who's done a lot to further our knowledge of ourselves and of the world around us, and the universe in general. And he got some flack for that because apparently, I guess people saw that as being an affront to Jesus Christ and his being born on December 25th, and Tyson basically said, well, first of all, Jesus Christ wasn't born on December 25th. Number one, and number two, all I was doing was doing a shout out to Galileo because it was his birthday. It was just a factual recognition of the day in the year that Galileo Galilei was born in.
Yeah, there's a statue of Galileo Galilei in Florence at the Uffizi, I think. A bunch of these famous people are.
He's Pisan, isn't he? He was born in Pisa?
It's possible. I don't know.
He's Italian, that's all.
But
well,
didn't
of course
he
it wasn't
end
Italy
up getting killed, or because what he said was heresy against the church?
Oh, they locked him away and.
But he was willing to die for his beliefs, but it just, And what did he prove that the planets did not revolve around Earth, like everything revolved around the sun? It was just, but it went against the teachings of the church. So.
I think his biggest contribution was his famous quote: "Whatever you do, don't let your kids be born on December 25th, because you'll never be able to celebrate their birthday on that day."
Yes.
And on that note, it's been Progressive Suit, David Stevenson, Emily Volpintesta.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll be back next week with all kinds of stuff.
Yes.